Welcome to the Dynamic Radiologist Podcast, where we feature leading experts in healthcare. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Brownstein.
Hello, Dr. Stephen Brownstein here, and I am the host of the Dynamic Radiologist Podcast. Through this platform, I have the great honor to interview top leaders in health and in business to discuss what they are doing to change the world. Some of the amazing guests I've interviewed include Dr. Jeffrey Kronk, CEO of Spinal Kinetics, Smart Injury Doctors, and Smart Injury Lawyers. Dr. Mike Carberry, CEO of Advanced Medical Integration. Dr. Donald DeFabio and Howard Reese, CEO of the Teledentist. This episode is brought to you by Dynamic Medical Imaging. I started this organization 16 years ago and have experienced consistent growth and opportunity ever since. We have the only phonar upright MRI in northern and central New Jersey. We have had patients consistently coming to our center from over 20 miles away. Over 25% of our patients are either claustrophobic or have failed to have their MRIs completed in a closed unit. They have come here to have their studies performed in the phonar upright open MRI. We have had over 3,000 doctors from New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania refer their patients to us. What is really telling, though, that these same doctors who have referred their family and friends to us have come here for themselves for their own studies. Please check out testimonial comments and interviews on our website, www.dynamicmedicalimaging.com, and see for yourself what your fellow patients have said about their great experience at Dynamic Medical Imaging. Our second sponsor today is brought to you by Spinal Kinetics that I started over 10 years ago. We help medical providers of all specialties evaluate for the presence, location, and severity of spinal ligament injuries. If you do stress radiographs in any format, then you can send them to our trained doctors who use our specialized technology. Spinal Kinetics developed a technology called CRMA, or Computerized Radiographic Mensuration Analysis, which is an advanced X-ray measurement technology to accurately measure the exact abnormal motion patterns that occur with a spinal ligament injury. If you have any questions, go to www.thespinalkinetics.com or email us at support@thespinalkinetics.com. Well, today I have the great pleasure to interview Dr. Brian Wallace, a good friend of mine, and I'm going to let him tell a little bit of story, but I can tell you first that after he graduated from Life University, he actually returned to his hometown in Bernardsville, New Jersey, to start practicing with his dad. And what's interesting is I've been around chiropractors for over 40 years, and majority of them went into chiropractic for one of two reasons. They had a family member or friend, or they had their own personal injury where no one else could get them better, and they went to a chiropractor that made them better, and they said, well, let me check this out. So Brian, you fall into that category, one of those categories real well. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So tell the audience about your journey, what made you go into chiropractic and what made you join Dad and how it's been and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So, chiropractic pretty much was my life. I was born into chiropractic. I was adjusted the first day of my life, and I was just kind of part of what I did and how I grew up. And I always used to, question my father, like, hey, I never get sick. Why? My friends always have sick. They're ear infections. They got strep throat. They got all these different things. They're always out of school. What's going on? I want to play with them. Why are they always sick? And it's like, well, part of the reason is, you get adjusted. You've been adjusted since you're a kid. You've got a great immune system, and your body can take care of itself given the right circumstances. And I was a big athlete growing up, never had any injuries, played ice hockey in college, and, had some bumps and bruises, but never anything that was significant that would ever keep me out of play. And I just feel like I owed a lot of my health and my life to being under chiropractic care since a child. And then getting into college, I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. This wasn't like, hey, this is what I'm doing from an early age. It was like, okay, am I going into finance? And is this chiropractic thing for me? And after my freshman year in college, I went and did an internship in New York City on the floor of the stock exchange. I did that for a couple months, and made my decision very easily. That was not for me whatsoever. And I really had the heart to help people and spread this message of health and wellness, that there's an alternative to the medical model. Not that one's better or worse. It's just a different thought process, just a different way of looking at things. And after my freshman year in college, that made my decision super easy, and I never looked back. Went down to Life University, had a great experience, really learned a lot about the philosophy of chiropractic and the innate intelligence that your body is able to maintain homeostasis, take care of itself, especially if you're doing things preventatively, like eating right and exercising, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, but most importantly, making sure that your spine and your nervous system is functioning at its optimal. And I've just continued to try to spread that message to my community and the surrounding area, because I believe that if more people understood the message, we would have a healthier, happier society, and that's better for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. So, one of the things we had talked before that, you go to a doctor, MD, with an earache, he'll just examine the ear that's hurting. He doesn't even look at the other ear, let alone your whole body. Whereas, in your practice, you practice whole person approach, and, tell the audience what that means.
Well, everything is connected. You're not a sum of parts, right? Each individual part of your body has a profound impact on every other aspect of your body. So you can't just look at one area of the body. Whenever we examine a new patient, even if they're coming in with specifically lower back pain, I always say, hey, we're going to check you out from head to toe. Because just because you're having lower back pain doesn't mean that is the root cause of your symptom. We need to find the root cause of your problem. And if we can find that and correct that, everything else will take care of itself.
So that's when Dr. Palmer said, top to bottom and inside out. I think he was onto something.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest issues today in this country is it's an outside in approach. We're always constantly bombarded by, oh, you have this problem, we have this medication. You have this problem, we have this. Take this for that. Take this for that. And that messaging should be exactly the opposite. Fix what's wrong on the inside, and health is promoted outward. End of story. Absolutely. I mean, each one of us, every single person in this world came from 2 cells and 2 cells only. And yet we sit here being able to talk, communicate, function with no limitations. And that's a miracle to me. And I wish more people understood that message about the inside out approach really has a profound impact on your health and longevity.
No, I absolutely agree. So I know you came back and joined Dad in his practice. And how long's the practice been in Bernardsville?
Practice has been in Bernardsville since 1980.
So that's 41 years.
Yes.
That's a long time.
So yes, I worked with my father for about 10 years. He just retired the end of 2019, and he's loving life and super happy. And he misses it, but he still gets to come and adjust me when I need it, and the rest of the family. But yeah, it was a passion of his. He had a horrible issue with migraines growing up. and his parents took him to see a chiropractor. His migraines resolved, and that was kind of put him on the path of being a chiropractor himself.
Yep. Every time, same story.
Yep.
So if I was to come up to Bernardsville and meet one of your patients that just left your office, what would they say about your practice? How is your practice different? How do you make them feel the hero in their own health journey?
Well, it's really two things. It's about asking the right questions, and it's about listening to what they have to say. I think one of the biggest things today in medicine, and medicine in general, chiropractic included in that, is we don't listen to our patients anymore. We're already making preconceived notions about what is going on even before we hear them out. And I think that is a big problem because, unfortunately, a lot of medicine is dictated by health insurance. And, it really limits the amount of time a doctor can spend with a patient, really understanding their concerns. And that's why at our practice, we don't participate with any insurance companies. We're out of network with everyone so that we can really truly focus on patient care and educating them and our patients on what they need and why they need it. That chiropractic's not a quick fix. It's truly about changing the body. It's not a Tylenol. It's not an Advil to relieve their symptoms. It's really about getting them better and keeping them better so that they can live the life they want without limitations.
Oh, absolutely. Two things come to mind. I think Dale Carnegie said, seek first to understand before you're understood, and listen. And the art of listening is a lost art, one of many that we've lost through the time. And, it's important that we do spend the time to listen before we open our mouth. That's why God gave us 2 ears and only one mouth. And, it's a matter of, you spend time with your patient, and the most important thing that you can get out of that is build trust. That, used to be years ago, patients trusted their doctors, and there's more distrust and trust out there, whether warranted or not. A lot has to do with the lack of, Marcus Welby. There's no Marcus Welby's. I remember my pediatrician coming to our house in his pajamas when I was sick, and Mom made him chicken soup. Those days are long gone. But at least in the medical profession, but in some of the chiropractic offices like yourself, you have the luxury of having the time to spend with your patients to build up the trust, show your empathetic listening, that you really care about what they're going through, and actually discern what is the benefit of the benefit. Yes, they're coming for chiropractic care because they have back pain, but what's the benefit of having that back pain relieved? They can lift their grown grandchildren up. They can be more productive at work. So it's a couple of things. You have you're building trust, but with your empathetic listening and getting to the heart of the matter. What you get to know what they're really wanting you to help them with. It's not just their ailment. It's what the ailment's keeping them from getting to and enjoying. And
Absolutely.
that's a wonderful thing to be able to be in that position where you can actually contribute to the well-being, making patients better, not just in their body, but in their mind too, and their spirit. So no, that's great. You mentioned that you're a cash business, which, I would say it's uncommon in the chiropractic profession. I think in 2018 census, I think it was, 10 to 20% of your profession is cash basis, and it's probably going to be larger than that as insurance shrinks our reimbursement. In order to keep the lights on and the doors open, you're going to have either other sources of revenue, or be able to get more per patient, reimbursement. And it's tough. But I think the cash model, and a lot, you have several franchises like The Joint, which is a cash model. And our friend Stan Pierce is launching the Epic franchise model, which is also cash. It's an upper cervical technology. That's cash basis. And a lot of doctors went into cash or concierge medicine practice, and more as our purse strings are being squeezed. In order to survive, you have to look at other sources of revenue. Jay Abraham says that there's 3 ways to build a business: get more patients coming in, do more procedures on the patient, or have them come back more frequently. Well, you actually add 4th one is by charging cash. You don't have the overhead of having to have one person on the phone all day, chasing the insurance companies to pay you. And patients know they're not going to get a letter in the mail, you owe $50 copay, or you didn't pay this, or you didn't pay that. When they leave, they've paid for the service, and they got the best care possible.
Absolutely. And it works really well because people understand there's no surprises, everything's up front, and we get to choose and really tell patients, based on our experience, based on the results from their tests and their x-rays, what they really need. And we don't have to be limited by, oh, well, this person only gets 12 visits, this person only gets 24 visits, because that's not really chiropractic. That's just helping people with pain management and symptom relief. That's not getting to the root cause and allowing that, like we talked before, that inside out approach.
That's great. So if I'm in pain and I live, how large an area do you draw from?
We've had patients come from about an hour and a half away. We have some patients from New York, some patients from Pennsylvania, New York City. We have one patient that drives about 2.5 hours away to come and see us. A patient who had lived closer and then had moved away and said, well, I'm going to keep coming and see you guys because I know I need to keep up with my maintenance. And she drives about 2.5 hours one way. She's up by Albany.
So if they didn't have pain before they left the house, by the time they drive 2.5 hours, they'll be in pain. So that's pretty good. I was asked several times, why do I love chiropractic so much? I said, because they make patients better. It's been a great experience talking to you, Brian, and look forward to developing a greater friendship. And so if you're looking for a great chiropractor, I highly recommend Brian Wallace. He's in Bernardsville, New Jersey. And he'll listen to what ails you and make you better. Brian, thank you, sir.
Doc, thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to listening to your show some more.
Okay. Take care, my friend. Be safe.
Have a great day. You too.
Thanks for tuning in to the Dynamic Radiologist Podcast. Make sure to click subscribe to get updates on our latest episodes.